Welcome to the Stek Vs Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim vs the World, the game, is a retro-styled and themed beat-em-up. The story follows closer to the comic than the movie, with playable characters Scott Pilgrim, Stephen Stills, Kim Pine, and Ramona Flowers, with downloadable knives Chow. All the characters have the same moveset, with some unlocked when leveling up, but each character uses different animations, and there is an arsenal of power-ups. Snacks each increase health and add a temporary boost to stats, with the ability to carry one that activates upon being knocked out. Meals are more powerful than snacks, but can only be consumed in store. Accessories don't generally replenish health, but can provide a 1-up or a permanent stat bonus. To buy power-ups, the player must find shops, located within the stages, and use money collected from fallen enemies. Scattered throughout are objects used as weapons, and thrown, these objects include bottles, umbrellas, and even bin bags. In America, those will be trash bags. Besides health, there are guts points used to perform a super move or call knives for assistance. In multiplayer, the block button can perform several tasks, either sharing money, sharing life, sharing hearts, or reviving a fallen teammate, depending on the situation. The art style and graphics are designed to resemble a 16-bit game and be closer to the book rather than the movie. Each of the levels follows a part of the story and is themed appropriately, and so after talking about the comic, the movie and the game, let's go play some. And here we are. Normally at this point what I'd actually do is I would start a new game, but as you'll see, the footage for this game has actually been running in the background all this time. The reason is that one of the saving graces of this game, even though it's a quite short downloadable title, that the stages themselves, of which there are only 7, are in fact quite long. They take quite a while to get through. And that's even with what you're seeing right now. I have actually completed this game, so the character that I'm using right now is my fully upgraded character. This is on the hardest difficulty setting, and it's pretty much a cakewalk. The characters themselves can actually be reset, the character data, and, you know, that adds back into it the element of challenge. But actually, for the purpose of this, I thought it would be a good idea, rather than resetting my data, just to basically show you how easy the game is when you've got the full upgrade system. The stats themselves are, I can't even remember what the stats are, to be completely honest. There's 4 of them as usual. You know, one of them's strength, one of them's power. They all do different things. They're not really that complicated. The power-ups themselves, you can get up to plus 100 on each stat, which is what I'm using right now. You'll see that when I go in the shop eventually that I've got loads of money, because, you know, I've played through this game quite a few times. I really enjoy it, but to be honest, what I was actually going to do for this is I was going to kind of play as Nega Scott, but I haven't actually completed it with all 4 characters. In fact, I really don't want to complete it with more than 2 characters, for the simple reason that the end credits are A, unskippable, and B, ridiculously long. I mean, the end credits, I could easily double this video just by showing you the end credits. It is that long, and it's completely unskippable. The times that I've actually completed this, I've literally had to sit my PlayStation down and just leave it for 10 minutes. And just come back in 10 minutes when the credits are completely done, because it is so frustrating. I mean, you know, a lot of people these days are complaining that in FPS games you're being led by the hand to go and see all the content that the creators have put in. And this, you're forced to watch the credits. Completely forced. Well, I should talk about the game itself, and to be honest, there's not much about the game that I really don't like. I do enjoy the game, and it's ridiculously fun. It's just an old school beat 'em up. I say just because that's exactly what it is. It doesn't lie about what it is. It's not trying to be more than it is. It is a good, solid, old school beat 'em up. And to be honest, of the ilk that we've really been missing for quite a long time. And quick mention to the subspace highways in this game. There are quick shortcuts. They're not ridiculous, you know, in comparison. They won't take you through a whole lot of the game. You won't skip that much by going through there, but you can earn a lot of money by hitting the flying piggy banks. So back into here, Toronto. I've only actually moved like 2 screens there but you can't. I've actually gone back most times and done that last little bit and taken out those couple of guys. There is a fun little bit that I did actually miss on this, which is the snowball fight, which is exactly what it sounds like. There's a load of snowballs laying on the ground, you can pick them up, and the idea is you get extra coins for chucking them at the bad guys. Don't really know what to call them, to be honest. Enemies, bad guys. They're all pretty generic. One of the good things is that the actual game itself is kind of varied. I said that each of the levels is appropriately styled. Oh, and here we are at the shop. This is actually the secret shop in the game that has all the really good stuff. So you know what it is now. It's on the very beginning of the second bit of this stage. The actual themed appropriate levels are really good. Unfortunately, this is just the first level, the Toronto stage, and they're all pretty much just guys. But when you go after Lucas Lee during the second stage, you actually get to walk onto the Casa Loma set, obviously their version of the Casa Loma set, and there is different film sets with different appropriate enemies, and to be honest, you know, it really does set the game apart in itself. The last bits with Gideon Graves and the different boss fights are really good as well in themselves. And what you're seeing obviously right now is, it is just the first stage, you know, there's no qualms about that. It's nothing particularly special, but then a first stage never really is anything particularly special. And this is actually, it is a really good example of the game, because this is the core of the game. There is some interesting bits eventually, like, you know, based on Street Fighter, the Street Fighter car stage, we've got to destroy the car in a certain period of time. And those bits, you know, kind of change the game itself. And there are a couple of these set pieces where things, sometimes it's people running across the screen, sometimes it's boulders, sometimes it's flames and stuff like that. So here we have basically, you know, perfect examples of the game itself and exactly how the game plays, and I really enjoy it. I do like this game. It is really quite enjoyable. It's a really good downloadable title, and that's exactly what it is. It's a downloadable title, and it's good for the money, really. I got the Knives Chow DLC thrown in for free because I got it quite late on in its life cycle now. It's, again, it is, you know, kind of cheap nowadays. And pretty soon I'm coming up to the boss battle against the first Evil X. One thing that has kind of annoyed me with this game is that in the movie and in the comic, they make a point of saying Evil X's, and whenever Ramona's confronted about the Evil X-boyfriend's part, she always stays ambiguous because of Roxy Rich. And in this game, unfortunately, they kind of stuffed that up. One of the first scenes, as you'll have seen at the beginning, says Evil X-boyfriends, which is a bit of a shame, really, because they then go on to show Roxy straight after they say Evil X-boyfriends. One of the nice things that is in this, though, is that they have reinstated the storyline of Roxy being more of a ninja. Really know how to put it. And also they've reinstated Knives' father as part of the story itself. The story isn't particularly strong on narrative, and it's not particularly a game that drives for the actual story. It's just there kind of to bump up the game. Really, the story is kind of, it takes a backseat, really. It's all about the action. And here you'll watch me get my ass whooped over and over again because I was being really silly at this point. Yeah, all you have to do is hit the 4 demon chicks and then you can hit Patel again, but unfortunately I messed it up over and over again. And yes, it makes me look like a complete noob. And what you'll have seen there is you'll have seen me pull in Knives. Knives, with each character, can be more or less useful. To be honest, strangely enough, the person that she's least useful on is actually Scott himself. His normal moves are a lot better than everybody else's, to be honest. But his version of Knives is not very good. Stephen Stills' version of Knives is quite good. She basically decimates everything in a line in front of you. Can be really useful. And for Ramona, she'll give you the super boost, which is where you kind of go yellow. And yet, I threw a cup at my head. That's really frustrating in this game. Everything bounces around a lot, and you can manage to hit yourself quite easily. And I'll pretty quickly wrap this up because I'm running out of footage. So, the most useful version really is Ramona's knives on Kim. Well, it's something that was in the comic but never in the movie. Kim and Knives get a bit drunk one time and kiss, so she jumps in, kisses you, gives you a bit of life back. And that is pretty much it. So what I shall say now is, I'm the Stek, I'll see you around.